The eighth circle of hell burned eternal. Al Simmons hung suspended in chains of molten iron, his necroplasm body regenerating only to be torn apart again. This was his existence now. His punishment, his forever. He'd been a soldier once, a good one, CIA Black Ops, killed for his country without question. Then his country killed him, burned alive by his own partner on orders from above. And when Malebolgia offered him a deal, return to Earth, see his wife Wanda one more time, Al had taken it. Desperate, stupid, damned. He'd come back as Spawn, a Hell Spawn, a soldier of Hell's army, bound to serve in the coming apocalypse. His body was no longer human, it was necroplasm, a living darkness that fed on evil and suffering. His face was burned beyond recognition. And Wanda? She'd moved on. Married his best friend, had a child, 5 years of his life, erased. Replaced with eternal damnation. Now he hung in hell, paying for his sins and his stupidity, while demons laughed and Malebolgia grew stronger. At least, that was the plan. The first sign something was wrong was the screaming. Not the usual screaming. Hell was full of that. This was different, higher, sharper, coming from somewhere that wasn't hell. Then, reality tore open. A rift appeared in the air before Spawn, not fire or brimstone, but something else. A wound in existence itself, bleeding impossible colors. Through it, he could see glimpses of another place. A city of massive towers, ships flying through the sky, and everywhere, death. The chains holding him began to shake. What the rift pulled. Spawn felt himself being dragged forward, his necroplasm body stretching toward the tear in reality. The chains holding him snapped like cheap rope. Malebolgia's domain, usually absolute, couldn't hold him against whatever force was on the other side. He tumbled through the rift, dimensions folding around him, and for a moment he existed nowhere, suspended between hell and somewhere else. Then he hit ground. Hard. Spawn crashed through what felt like metal plating, punched through several floors of some kind of structure, and finally came to rest in a crater of his own making. He lay there for a moment, necroplasm body already regenerating from the impact damage. What the hell? He pushed himself up, his cape a living thing, part of his necroplasm suit reforming around his shoulders. He was in some kind of underground area, maintenance tunnels, maybe. Pipes and conduits everywhere, technology he didn't recognize. But that wasn't what caught his attention. It was the screaming, children screaming, coming from above. Spawn's head snapped up. His enhanced senses, gifts of his damnation, reached out, tasting the air, fear, pain, death, and something else. Something that felt almost familiar. Darkness. Not hell's darkness. Something different. But darkness nonetheless, and it was killing children. Spawn's eyes blazed green with hellfire. Not on my watch. His cape spread into wings, and he launched himself upward, punching through floors and ceilings, following the screams toward whatever nightmare awaited above. Spawn exploded from the lower levels into chaos. He emerged in what looked like a massive temple, pillared halls, vaulted ceilings, architecture that spoke of ancient tradition and sacred purpose. Beautiful. Under normal circumstances. Right now, it was a slaughterhouse. White-armored soldiers marched through the halls in perfect formation, weapons raised. They moved with mechanical precision, gunning down anyone they encountered. Men in robes fell under concentrated fire. Women screamed and died. And the children. Spawn watched as a white-armored soldier executed a fleeing child. The kid couldn't have been more than 10, shot in the back, dropped like garbage. The soldier didn't even slow down, just moved to the next target. Spawn's necroplasm suit rippled with rage. His chains, normally dormant, began to writhe beneath his cape, hungry for violence. He'd seen this before. Soldiers following orders, killing innocents because someone above them said so. It was how he'd lived his life as CIA, how he'd died, how evil perpetuated itself through obedience. Good soldiers follow orders. The words echoed through the temple, repeated by dozens of white-armored troops as they massacred everyone in sight. Spawn dropped to the floor of the main hall, his impact cracking marble. Several soldiers turned toward him, weapons rising. Unknown, hostile, Identify yourself. Spawn stood slowly, his cape billowing despite no wind. His face a burned nightmare of exposed muscle and glowing green eyes regarded the soldiers with absolute contempt. "I'm your nightmare," he said. "And you just killed your last kid." The soldiers opened fire. Blaster bolts. Spawn had never seen weapons like these. Energy instead of bullets peppered his body. They hit his necroplasm form and simply stopped, absorbed. His suit fed on energy, and these weapons were giving it a feast. "That tickles," Spawn growled. "My turn." His chains exploded outward. The chains of Spawn were not normal weapons. Forged in hell, bonded to his necroplasm, they were extensions of his will given physical form. They could extend infinitely, strike with the force of a freight train, and were sharper than any blade humanity had ever created. The first 3 soldiers didn't even have time to scream. Chains punched through their chest plates like paper, impaling them through their hearts. Spawn whipped his arms, and the chains followed, sending the bodies flying into their companions, bowling over an entire squad. Open fire, full auto. More blaster bolts peppered Spawn. He walked through them, each step deliberate, each movement bringing him closer to the soldiers. His cape spread wide, becoming a wall of living darkness that swallowed incoming fire. A soldier tried to flank him. Spawn's chain lashed out sideways, wrapping around the man's neck. "Nobody flanks me," he yanked. The soldier's head separated from his shoulders. 2 more soldiers charged with some kind of electrified batons, desperate close-quarters assault. Spawn caught the first baton with his bare hand, the electricity doing nothing to his dead flesh, and drove his other fist through the soldier's faceplate. The man's helmet crumpled like tin foil, and what was inside crumpled with it. The second soldier swung at Spawn's back. The cape intercepted, wrapping around the baton, then around the soldier's arm, then around his entire body. The soldier screamed as the necroplasm constricted. "Please, please, I was just following orders." "Yeah, I've heard that before." The cape squeezed, armor cracked, bones shattered. The screaming stopped. Spawn released the corpse and surveyed the hall. 12 soldiers down. More coming. He could hear their boots echoing through the temple. But more importantly, he could hear children. Still alive, still screaming, deeper in the structure. He moved toward the sound, leaving a trail of white armored corpses behind him. A squad of soldiers had cornered a group of children in what looked like a training room. The kids, maybe 15 of them, ages ranging from 5 to 12, huddled against the far wall. Some were crying, others were trying to be brave, holding small weapons that looked like flashlights but probably weren't. The soldiers had them surrounded. 20 troops, weapons aimed. A soldier with different markings, commander, probably stepped forward. "Execute Order 66. No survivors." "Please," one of the older children shouted. "We trusted you. You were supposed to protect us." "Good soldiers follow orders," the commander replied. "No emotion, no hesitation. Ready weapons." 20 blasters rose. "Aim." The children huddled closer, the youngest ones sobbing. "Fie." The commander's head exploded, not from a blaster. From a chain that punched through the back of his skull and out through his faceplate, spraying brain matter across his troops. The soldiers spun toward the new threat. Spawn stood in the doorway, the bloody chain retracting back into his body. His eyes blazed with hellfire green flames that cast dancing shadows across the walls. "You want to kill children?" His voice was gravel and rage. "Let me show you what happens to child killers in hell." He attacked. Chains erupted from every part of his body, shoulders, arms, back, even his cape. They lashed out in all directions, a hurricane of metal death that turned the training room into a blender. Soldiers tried to scatter. Chains caught them, impaled them, tore them apart. One soldier managed to get a shot off the blaster bolt, hit Spawn in the face and did nothing. Spawn grabbed the man's head and crushed it like a grape. Another soldier tried to use a child as a shield. Spawn's chain wrapped around the man's ankle, yanked him off his feet, and dragged him across the floor toward Spawn. The child fell free, unharmed. Using kids as shields? Spawn grabbed the soldier by the throat, lifting him off the ground. That's a special kind of evil. He ripped the man's throat out with his bare hand. The last 5 soldiers broke and ran. Spawn's cape expanded, becoming a wall of darkness that blocked the exit. They bounced off it, stumbled backward, turned to find Spawn walking toward them. "Please, we'll stand down. You'll die," Spawn interrupted. "That's what you'll do." Chains and hellfire finished the job. When it was over, Spawn stood in a room painted with blood and surrounded by 20 mutilated corpses. His necroplasm suit was feeding well the violence, the death, the evil of child killers being punished. It drank deep and wanted more, but there were other concerns. The children were still huddled against the wall, staring at him in absolute terror. They just watched a demon butcher 20 soldiers in less than a minute. Of course they were scared. Spawn forced his chains to retract, his cape to settle. He knelt down to the children's level, trying to make his nightmarish face less threatening. It didn't work. Several children whimpered and tried to press further into the wall. "Hey," Spawn said, his voice softer but still gravelly. "I'm not going to hurt you. I killed those soldiers because they were going to hurt you. Understand?" The oldest child, a girl, maybe 12, with a braid and fierce eyes despite her tears, stepped slightly forward. What are you?" "Something that kills bad guys. That's all you need to know." Spawn looked toward the door. He could hear more soldiers coming. "Is there a way out of here? Somewhere safe?" "The hangar," another child said. "We have ships there. But the soldiers, I'll handle the soldiers. You just run when I tell you to run. Got it?" The children exchanged uncertain glances. The older girl nodded. "Got it." Spawn stood, turning toward the door. More white-armored soldiers were pouring into the temple. More targets. "Stay behind me. And whatever you do, don't look at what I'm about to do." He strode toward the oncoming soldiers, his chains beginning to writhe with anticipation. Time to go to work. Spawn carved a path through the Jedi temple with brutal efficiency. Every corridor brought new enemies. Every room held more soldiers executing more innocents. And every single soldier who crossed Spawn's path died screaming. He moved through them like a force of nature chains, ripping through armor. Hellfire scorching flesh, necroplasm body tanking everything they threw at him. Blasters, grenades, some kind of rocket launcher that one desperate squad tried. Nothing worked. "What is that thing?" "It's not a Jedi. It's something else. Fall back, fall back." They couldn't fall back fast enough. Spawn caught a retreating soldier with a chain around the waist, yanked him back, and used him as a club to beat 3 other soldiers to death. The body broke apart after the second swing, so Spawn just grabbed another one. Behind him, the group of children followed at a safe distance, carefully not looking at the carnage as instructed. The older girl, her name was Kira, Spawn had learned kept the younger ones moving, covering their eyes when necessary. "How much further to the hangar?" Spawn called back. 2 more levels down," Kira replied. "But there's a main corridor we have to cross. It's probably full of dead men." "Got it." They reached a balcony overlooking a massive central hall. Below, Spawn could see the main corridor Kira had mentioned, and she was right. It was full of soldiers. At least 100 of them, forming up in defensive positions, laying down suppressing fire at something on the far end. On that far end, Spawn could see a group of robed figures, adults this time, fighting back with those glowing sword weapons. They were good, really good, but they were outnumbered and being pushed back. "Jedi Knights," Kira whispered. "They're still fighting. Not for long. They're about to get overrun." One of the robed fighters took a blaster bolt to the shoulder and went down. The soldiers advanced, closing in for the kill. Spawn looked at the children. "Stay here. Don't move until I call you." Then he jumped. Spawn dropped from the balcony like a meteor, his cape spreading to control his descent. He landed in the middle of the soldier formation with enough force to crack the floor and send troops flying. For a moment, everyone froze, soldiers and Jedi alike, staring at the thing that had just dropped among them. Spawn stood slowly, his burning eyes sweeping across the white-armored ranks. Surprise! He attacked in all directions at once. Chains erupted outward in a spiral pattern, scything through soldiers like wheat. Bodies fell in pieces, blood sprayed, screams filled the hall. Spawn moved through the chaos like a dancer in hell, every movement efficient, every strike lethal. A soldier lunged at him with a vibroblade. Spawn caught the blade, snapped it, and drove the broken end through the soldier's visor. Two soldiers tried to tackle him. His cape wrapped around both and crushed them together until their armor merged with their flesh. Concentrate fire. Everything on that thing. 50 soldiers opened up simultaneously. The blaster barrage was intense enough to illuminate the entire hall. Spawn walked through it. His necroplasm body absorbed the energy, feeding, growing stronger. The soldiers watched in horror as their weapons did nothing less than nothing. They were making him more powerful. "Thanks for the meal," Spawn growled. "Let me return the favor." Hellfire erupted from his hands. It wasn't normal fire. It was green, supernatural, burning with the essence of damnation itself. It didn't just burn flesh, it burned souls. Soldiers caught in the flames didn't just die. They experienced a moment of hell itself before their existence ended. The screaming was indescribable. Spawn swept the hellfire across the formation, immolating dozens. Those who escaped the flames ran directly into his chains. Those who tried to surrender found that Spawn wasn't accepting prisoners. "You killed children," he said to one soldier who'd thrown down his weapon and raised his hands. "You don't get to surrender." The chain punched through the man's chest. In less than 3 minutes, 100 soldiers were dead. The central corridor was a charnel house of burned bodies, severed limbs, and spreading blood. The surviving Jedi, 4 of them, all wounded, stared at Spawn in shock. One of them, a woman with short hair and a bleeding shoulder, raised her glowing sword defensively. "What are you? You're not Sith. You don't feel like. I'm not anything you've encountered before," Spawn interrupted. "And right now, that doesn't matter. What matters is that I have kids waiting upstairs who need to get to the hangar. You going to help or not?" The woman exchanged glances with her companions. Whatever Spawn was, he'd just saved their lives. And he was talking about saving children. "We'll help," she said finally. "I'm Sarah. Sarah Keto. These are, don't care about names. Care about getting those kids out. Move." He turned and headed back toward the balcony, not waiting to see if they followed. They followed. The hangar was close. Spawn could feel it. One more corridor, one more set of blast doors, and the children would be safe. Then the temperature dropped. It wasn't physical cold. It was something else. A darkness pressing against his senses, familiar and alien at the same time. Something powerful was approaching. Something steeped in the same kind of darkness that hell produced. "Something's coming," Spawn said, stopping in the middle of the corridor. Sarah, supporting a wounded Jedi colleague, looked up sharply. "I feel it too. The dark side. Powerful. Very powerful. The dark side. It's..." Sarah struggled to explain. "It's the corrupted aspect of the Force. The energy that binds the galaxy. When twisted by hate and fear, it becomes darkness, evil, power bought with blood and souls." Spawn nodded. "I know the type. Different name. Same thing." The blast doors at the end of the corridor hissed open. A figure stepped through. He was tall, not as tall as Spawn, but tall for a human. Young, maybe early 20s, with shoulder-length hair and features that might have been handsome if they weren't twisted with rage and pain. He wore dark robes, and in his hand, he carried one of those glowing swords, blue blade, humming with deadly energy. But it was his eyes that Spawn focused on, yellow, burning, filled with a hatred that went beyond normal human emotion. "Skywalker," Sarah breathed. "Anakin Skywalker. But your eyes. The name is Vader now," the figure said. His voice was tight, controlled, but barely containing something volcanic beneath. "Lord Vader." He looked past Sarah, past the other Jedi, and his yellow eyes locked onto Spawn. You're the one killing my troops, disrupting the purge." Spawn stepped forward, putting himself between Vader and the others. "Your troops were killing children." I interrupted. "The younglings are a threat. They must be eliminated. The Jedi must be eliminated. All of them." "And who decided that? You? Or your master?" Vader's eyes flickered just for a moment, something other than rage passing through them. Then the hatred returned, stronger than before. "My master has shown me the truth. The Jedi are traitors. They must be purged for the Empire to rise. This is necessary. Necessary. Spawn laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. Killing kids is necessary. You know how many times I've heard that excuse? How many monsters have used that word to justify slaughter? He stepped closer, his chains beginning to writhe. I've killed a lot of people, done a lot of things I'm not proud of, but I never touched children. And anyone who does. His eyes blazed brighter. Answers to me. Vader ignited his lightsaber fully, the blue blade casting harsh shadows. You think you can stop me? I am the chosen one. I have more power than any Jedi who ever lived. I have seen through the lies of the Jedi, and I will bring peace and order to the galaxy. You are just an obstacle. Then, come remove me. Vader attacked. The lightsaber came down in a vicious overhead strike, fast, powerful, meant to bisect Spawn from skull to groin. Spawn caught the blade with his chains. The lightsaber, a weapon that could cut through almost anything, hit the necroplasm-infused metal and stopped dead. Sparks flew. Energy crackled. But the chains held. Vader's eyes widened. Impossible. Nothing stops a lightsaber. I'm not nothing. Spawn yanked the chains, pulling Vader off balance. I'm Spawn. His fist connected with Vader's jaw, sending the Sith stumbling backward. Before Vader could recover, Spawn pressed the attack chains, lashing out from multiple angles, each strike meant to kill. Vader was fast. Faster than any human Spawn had encountered. He dodged, deflected, used his lightsaber with desperate skill. But Spawn had been fighting since before this kid was born. Had trained with the best killers the CIA could produce. Had survived hell itself. A chain caught Vader across the chest, shredding his robes and drawing blood. Another wrapped around his ankle, yanking him off his feet. Vader hit the ground hard, lightsaber nearly flying from his grip. Spawn loomed over him, chains raised for the killing blow. Then Vader's hand shot out, and Spawn felt something, a pressure, invisible but powerful, grab his entire body and throw him. He crashed through a wall, through another wall, and embedded himself in the third. The Force, Spawn muttered, pulling himself from the rubble. Right. Psychic powers. Vader was standing again, hand outstretched, using that invisible power to hold Spawn in place. The pressure was immense, like being crushed by a giant's fist. You are strong, Vader admitted. But strength means nothing against the Force. I can crush your organs, stop your heart, tear your body apart from the inside. The pressure increased. Spawn felt his necroplasm body actually compressing. Try it, he growled. Vader's face twisted with concentration. The Force crush intensified. Spawn's body crumpled, bones breaking, organs rupturing, flesh tearing. And then it regenerated. All of it, instantly. I'm already dead, Spawn said, pushing against the Force grip. Already been to hell. Had my body destroyed 1,000 times. This, he took a step forward, fighting against the telekinetic pressure. This is nothing. He took another step. Another. Vader's eyes went wide with disbelief as Spawn simply walked through his most powerful technique. How? What are you? I told you. I'm Spawn. He was close now, close enough to reach out and grab Vader by the throat. And I'm done playing. His hand closed around Vader's neck, chains wrapped around his arms and legs. In seconds, the most powerful Force user of his generation was completely immobilized. You're strong, Spawn admitted. But you're human. Flesh and blood. I'm something else entirely. He lifted Vader off the ground, chains tightening. Now, you've got one chance. Tell me why I shouldn't drag you to hell right now. Vader struggled, but the chains held. His lightsaber was on the ground, out of reach. His Force powers couldn't break Spawn's grip. For the first time since his fall to the dark side, Anakin Skywalker felt genuinely helpless. I had to, Vader gasped. The Jedi, they were going to kill me. My master. He showed me the truth. The dark side is the only way to save her. To save Padmé. She's going to die, and the dark side is the only power strong enough to save her? Spawn's grip loosened slightly, not out of mercy, but surprise. You did all this For a woman, my wife. She's going to die in childbirth. I saw it. The visions. Visions from who? Your master, from the Force. Palpatine said the dark side could stop death itself, could save her. All I had to do was kill children, betray everyone who ever trusted you, become a monster. Vader said nothing, but his yellow eyes just for a moment flickered with something that might have been doubt. Spawn stared at him for a long moment. He'd seen this story before, lived it. A man so desperate to save someone he loved that he made a deal with the devil, sacrificed everything, and in the end, got nothing. Your master lied to you, Spawn said. That's what devils do. They promise everything and deliver nothing. I know. I made the same deal. Sold my soul to see my wife again. You know what I got? He leaned closer, his burned face inches from Vader's. I got nothing. She'd moved on, married someone else, and I was stuck as a monster forever, serving the same evil that cheated me. He released Vader, letting the younger man drop to the ground. Go. Go to your master, or go to your wife. Your choice. But know this. He pointed one clawed finger at Vader's chest. If I see you killing children again, I'll finish what I started. And there's no power in any galaxy that'll save you from me. Vader scrambled to his feet, grabbing his lightsaber. For a moment, he looked like he might attack again. Then his comms crackled. Lord Vader. A cold, ancient voice. Report to the Senate building immediately. The Separatist leaders on Mustafar can wait. We have complications. Vader's eyes flickered between Spawn and the comm. Whatever conflict was happening inside him, it was buried beneath years of conditioning and fresh dark side corruption. This isn't over, he said to Spawn. No, it isn't. Vader turned and left, his cape billowing behind him. Spawn watched him go, then turned back toward where Sarah and the children waited. There was still work to do. Sarah had gathered the children and the surviving Jedi when Spawn returned. You let him go, she said. Not an accusation, just an observation. He's not my priority right now. Getting these kids out is. Spawn looked toward the corridor leading to the hangar. How many soldiers between here and the ships? Sarah closed her eyes, reaching out with the Force. I sense at least 50, maybe more. They've fortified the hangar. 50. That's manageable. For you, maybe. The rest of us are wounded, and the children can't fight. The children won't have to. Spawn's cape began to spread, preparing for what came next. Here's the plan. I go in first. I kill everything in white armor. When the shooting stops, you bring the kids through. Simple. That's not a plan. That's a massacre. Yeah, it is. Spawn started walking toward the hangar. Give me 3 minutes. He disappeared around the corner. Sarah looked at the other Jedi, then at the children huddled behind them. Is he really going to kill 50 soldiers by himself? Kira asked. Sarah remembered what she'd seen in the central hall. The chains, the fire, the bodies. Yes, she said quietly. I think he is. The hangar doors exploded inward. The soldiers inside had been prepared for a Jedi assault. Barricades, heavy weapons, overlapping fields of fire. A perfect defensive position. They were not prepared for Spawn. He came through the destroyed doors like a demon from ancient myths, chains whipping in all directions, hellfire blazing from his hands, his cape becoming a wall of living darkness that swallowed blaster fire and spat out death. The first squad died before they could pull their triggers. Chains punched through visors, through chest plates, through throats. Bodies hit the ground in pieces. Fall back to secondary positions. The soldiers tried to regroup, tried to concentrate fire, tried every tactic in their training. Nothing worked. Spawn moved through them like a force of nature, and nature was very, very angry. He grabbed one soldier and used him as a battering ram against 5 others. He caught a thrown grenade and threw it back into the middle of a squad. He ripped the mounted gun from its emplacement and used it to beat its operators to death before turning it on their companions. What is that thing? It's unstoppable. Run! Row! The scream cut off as a chain separated the man's head from his shoulders. In 2 minutes and 47 seconds, 53 clone troopers were dead. The hangar floor was slick with blood. Bodies and parts of bodies were everywhere. Spawn stood in the center of it all, necroplasm suit glistening with gore. "Clear," he called back toward the corridor. "Bring the kids." Sarah emerged first, one hand covering her mouth, eyes wide with horror. The other Jedi followed, equally shocked. They'd been trained as peacekeepers, warriors, yes, but with discipline and restraint. This wasn't war. This was butchery. The children came last, Kira keeping their eyes covered. "Don't look," she whispered. "Just keep walking. Don't look." They made it to one of the smaller transport ships without incident. Sarah got the children aboard while the other Jedi prepared for launch. Spawn stayed outside, watching the hangar entrance. "You're not coming," Sarah observed, returning to stand beside him. "No, I've got unfinished business." "With Vader? With whoever's giving him orders, the one who convinced him to do all this." Spawn's eyes narrowed. "Someone set this up. The soldiers, the executions, the purge. Someone's pulling strings, and I want to know who." Sarah hesitated. "The Chancellor. Emperor now, apparently. Palpatine. He's the Sith Lord. He orchestrated everything, the war, the clone army, all of it. He's been playing both sides for over a decade." "Palpatine. Where is he?" "The Senate building." "But you can't just... Watch me." Sarah grabbed his arm. Her hand looked tiny against his massive necroplasm limb. "He's powerful. More powerful than Vader. He's been hiding his true strength for years, manipulating everyone. The dark side is strongest in him. I've never felt anything like it." Spawn looked at her hand, then at her face. "I've fought the ruler of hell, killed demons older than human civilization. Some politician with magic powers doesn't scare me." He gently removed her hand. "Get the kids somewhere safe. I'll handle Palpatine." "Why? Why do you care? You're not a Jedi. You're not from this galaxy. Why risk yourself for us?" Spawn was silent for a moment. "Because someone has to," he said finally. "Because those kids in there, they didn't deserve what happened to them. Because soldiers following orders doesn't excuse murdering children. And because..." He paused, something old and painful passing across his burned features. "Because when I needed help, no one came. I was betrayed, murdered, and damned to hell. And every step of the way, people just watched. Did nothing. Let it happen." He turned toward the hangar exit. "I'm not going to be the one who watches. Not anymore." His cape spread into wings, and he launched himself into Coruscant's sky, leaving Sarah staring after him. Behind her, the transport's engines fired up. "We need to go," one of the other Jedi called. "More soldiers will be coming." Sarah took one last look at the dark shape disappearing into the city, then boarded the ship. The hangar doors closed, and the transport launched into the chaos of a galaxy tearing itself apart. Above Coruscant's skyline, Spawn flew through the night. The city was in chaos. Fires burned in multiple districts. Ships crashed and exploded. The sound of blaster fire echoed from a dozen directions. Whatever was happening, it was bigger than one temple. This was a coordinated attack on everyone with those glowing swords and psychic powers. A purge. And at the center of it all, pulling the strings, was someone called Palpatine. Spawn could feel him. Not through any force sensitivity, he wasn't part of this galaxy's mystical energy, but his hellspawn senses could detect evil, could taste the darkness that powerful beings left in their wake. And Palpatine's darkness was impressive. Not as strong as Malebolgia, not as ancient as the evils Spawn had fought in hell, but strong, very strong, the kind of evil that had been cultivated for decades, fed on suffering and betrayal, the kind of evil that Spawn had been created to destroy. "I'm coming for you," Spawn growled into the night. "Whatever you are, however powerful you think you are." His chains rattled beneath his cape, hungry for the confrontation to come. "Hell's coming for you, and it's wearing my face." He flew faster, zeroing in on the Senate building and the monster waiting inside. Behind him, the Jedi Temple continued to burn, but somewhere out there, a ship full of surviving younglings was escaping into hyperspace. It wasn't much. Wasn't nearly enough to balance the scales of what had been lost tonight. But it was a start, and Spawn was just getting started. Spawn cut through Coruscant's burning sky like a demon on a mission. The city was chaos. Fires raged across multiple districts. Clone gunships hunted survivors through the streets. The sound of blaster fire echoed from every direction, pockets of resistance being systematically eliminated. But Spawn wasn't heading toward the Senate building. Not yet. His Hellspawn senses had picked up something else. More children. More screams. Another group of survivors being hunted through the lower levels. The Senate could wait. Kids couldn't. He dove toward the source of the screams, his cape folding into wings that let him navigate through the urban canyons of Coruscant's underworld. The lower you went, the darker it got, both literally and figuratively. This was where the forgotten people lived. The ones the shiny towers above didn't want to acknowledge. Perfect place to hide. Perfect place to be hunted. Spawn landed in a narrow alley, his impact cracking the permacrete. Ahead, he could hear blaster fire. Screaming, the mechanical precision of clone troopers executing their orders. He moved toward the sound. The marketplace had been a refuge. Sarakido, the Jedi Knight Spawn had saved at the temple, had led her group of younglings here after escaping the hangar. The plan was to hide among the lower-level population, blend in until they could find transport off-world. The plan had failed. Clone troopers had tracked them somehow. Surrounded the marketplace. Now Sarah stood in the center of a circle of white-armored soldiers, her lightsaber ignited, protecting 15 terrified children behind her. Her shoulder still bled from the earlier wound. Her strength was fading, and there were too many soldiers. "Surrender the younglings," the clone commander ordered. "This doesn't have to be difficult. You're asking me to hand over children to be murdered. I'm asking you to comply with Order 66. The Jedi are traitors to the Republic. All Jedi must be eliminated, including the young." Sarah's grip tightened on her lightsaber. "I won't let you touch them. Then you'll die with them." The commander raised his hand, preparing to give the order. "Open fire." A chain punched through his chest from behind. The commander looked down at the metal links protruding from his armor, confused. Then he was yanked backward with tremendous force, his body flying through the air and slamming into 3 of his own soldiers. Spawn stepped out of the shadows, the bloody chain retracting into his body. "Miss me?" Sarah's eyes widened. I thought you were going after Palpatine." "Detour." Heard kids screaming. Spawn cracked his neck, his chains beginning to writhe beneath his cape. "You soldiers really don't learn, do you?" The remaining clones opened fire immediately. Blaster bolts peppered Spawn from all directions, a concentrated barrage that would have shredded any normal target. Spawn walked through it. "My turn." He attacked. The massacre was efficient. Spawn had killed enough clone troopers tonight to recognize their patterns. They fought in coordinated squads, covering each other, maintaining overlapping fields of fire, good tactics against normal enemies. Useless against him. His chains swept through the first squad like scythes through grain. 3 soldiers bisected at the waist, 2 more impaled through the chest. The 6th tried to run a chain wrapped around his ankle and dragged him back into Spawn's waiting grip. "Where do you think you're going?" He crushed the soldier's helmet with one hand, skull and all. The 2nd squad tried to concentrate fire while the 3rd flanked. Spawn's cape expanded, becoming a wall of living darkness that absorbed their blaster bolts. Then the cape attacked tendrils of necroplasm lashing out, wrapping around soldiers, crushing them inside their own armor. "Fall back, fall ba." Hellfire erupted from Spawn's hands, cutting off the retreat. Soldiers screamed as green flames consumed them, burning not just flesh but something deeper, their souls getting a preview of what awaited them. The flanking squad found themselves flanked. Spawn appeared behind them faster than they could track, chains already in motion. 4 soldiers died before they could turn around. The 5th managed to spin and raise his weapon. Spawn grabbed the blaster, shoved it under the soldier's chin, and used the man's own finger to pull the trigger. 20 soldiers. 45 seconds. Spawn stood in the aftermath, gore dripping from his chains. "Clear," he announced. Sarah lowered her lightsaber slowly, staring at the carnage. She'd seen him fight before, but it still shocked her. The sheer brutality, the complete lack of hesitation. "How?" she started. "How do you do that? Kill so easily?" "Practice." Spawn retracted his chains and turned to face her. You okay? Kids okay? We're alive, thanks to you. Again. Don't thank me yet. More will be coming. We need to move. Sarah nodded, gathering the children. They'd witnessed another massacre, but they were getting used to it. The older ones kept the younger ones moving, eyes averted from the bodies. Where do we go? Sarah asked. The temple is lost. The Senate is compromised. Every Jedi safe house is probably being raided. What about non-Jedi allies? Politicians? Anyone who isn't trying to kill you? Sarah thought for a moment. Senator Organa. Bail Organa of Alderaan. He's always been sympathetic to the Jedi. If he's still alive, where would he be? His private residence, maybe. Or the Senate landing platforms if he's trying to evacuate. Then that's where we go. Spawn looked up at the distant towers of the upper levels. Stay close. Kill anything in white armor that gets near you. I don't kill unless... Tonight you do. Or those kids die. Spawn's voice was hard. Your code, your rules, they don't mean anything if everyone who follows them is dead. Understand? Sarah wanted to argue. Everything in her Jedi training screamed that this was wrong, that there was always another way, that killing should be the last resort. But she looked at the children behind her, at their terrified faces, at what they'd already survived tonight. I understand, she said quietly. Good, let's move. They moved through the lower levels like ghosts. Spawn took point, his senses scanning for threats. Sarah guarded the rear, lightsaber ready. The children moved in between, older ones helping younger ones, all of them silent with the discipline of Jedi training. Twice, they encountered clone patrols. Twice, Spawn eliminated them before they could call for backup. Quick, brutal kills that left no survivors and no witnesses. You're efficient, Sarah observed after the second patrol went down. I was trained by the best killers on my planet. Then I spent years in hell learning worse. Spawn dragged a body into shadows, hiding the evidence. The clones are good soldiers, but they're predictable. Same formations, same tactics, easy to counter. They weren't always like this. Before today, they were our allies, our friends. Sarah's voice carried pain. I trained with some of them, fought beside them for years, and then, without warning, someone flipped a switch, turned them from allies to executioners. Yes, exactly. Like they were programmed. Spawn filed that information away. Programmed soldiers. Someone had planned this for a long time. Put the pieces in place and waited for the right moment to spring the trap. Palpatine. It kept coming back to Palpatine. They reached a turbo lift that would take them to the upper levels. Sarah input a code and the doors opened. This will take us near the Senate district. From there, we can reach Organa's. The doors at the far end of the corridor exploded inward. Clone troopers poured through, not a patrol this time, but a full assault squad. 30 soldiers, heavily armed, led by an ARC trooper in distinctive armor. There they are, all units engage. Get in the lift. Spawn shoved Sarah and the children toward the turbo lift. I'll hold them. There's too many. Get in the lift. Sarah grabbed the nearest children and pushed them through the doors. The other Jedi survivors, 3 wounded knights who'd been helping with the younglings, ignited their lightsabers. We'll help, one of them said. No. Protect the kids. That's your job. Spawn stepped forward, chains erupting from his body. Killing is mine. He charged the clone assault squad. The ARC trooper had seen a lot of combat. He'd fought on Geonosis. Survived Umbara. Led missions behind enemy lines that would have killed lesser soldiers. He was elite among elites, trained to handle any threat. He had never seen anything like this. The thing he couldn't call it human crashed into his squad like a meteor made of chains and rage. His soldiers opened fire with everything they had. Blaster rifles, rotary cannons, grenades, a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. Nothing worked. The creature absorbed blaster bolts like they were rain. The grenades detonated against its body and did nothing. The rocket actually hit it dead center, and when the smoke cleared, it was still standing, still advancing, still killing. What the hell is that thing? It's not going down. Nothing's working. Fall back. Call for reinforce. A chain wrapped around his communications specialist and pulled. The soldier flew through the air into the creature's grip. It grabbed his head and twisted. Neck snapped. Body dropped. The ARC trooper made a decision. Retreat. All units fall back to. He turned to run and found the creature standing in front of him. Impossible. It had been 20 feet away a second ago. Going somewhere? The creature's hand closed around his throat. He struggled, but the grip was immovable. Superhuman. He'd arm-wrestled Wookiees and won. This thing was stronger. "Where's Palpatine?" the creature demanded. I don't. Your boss, the one giving orders. Where is he? Senate building. Executive office. Good. Now one more question. The creature pulled him closer, and he saw its face clearly for the first time. Burned flesh, exposed muscle, eyes that blazed with green hellfire. How many more of you are hunting children? I don't know. Thousands. Order 66 is galaxy-wide. Galaxy-wide. The creature seemed to process that. That's a lot of soldiers. You can't stop it. You can't stop any of it. The Republic is dead. The Empire has already won. Maybe. But I can make sure a lot of your friends don't live to see it. The grip tightened. The ARC trooper's vision went dark. Then nothing. Spawn dropped the body and surveyed the corridor. 30 clone troopers. All dead. He'd taken some hits blaster scoring on his necroplasm body. Minor damage from the rocket, but nothing that wouldn't regenerate in minutes. The turbolift was gone. Sarah had gotten the children out. Good. Now he could focus on the real target. But something the ARC trooper said nagged at him. Order 66 was galaxy-wide. Thousands of soldiers. Millions, probably. All hunting Jedi and anyone associated with them. He couldn't kill them all. Even he had limits, not of power, but of time. Every minute he spent here, more children died somewhere else. He needed to cut the head off the snake. Kill Palpatine. End this at the source. The Empire has already won, the soldier had said. Spawn smiled grimly. Empires could fall. He'd watched it happen in his own world regimes that seemed invincible, crumbling overnight when the right pressure was applied. And Spawn was very good at applying pressure. He headed for the nearest exit, planning his route to the Senate building. Time to meet the Emperor. The Senate building loomed against Coruscant's burning skyline like a monument to arrogance. Spawn perched on a nearby tower, studying the structure. Heavy security, clone troopers everywhere, gunships patrolling, sensor arrays sweeping for threats. Getting in wouldn't be easy. Getting in wouldn't be stealthy either. Not his style anyway. But before he could move, his senses picked up something. That same darkness he'd felt before. The one called Vader. Close. Very close. Spawn turned and found Vader standing on the same rooftop, 20 feet away. The young Sith's lightsaber was already ignited, blue blade humming. "You again," Spawn growled. "You've been busy." Vader's voice was tight, controlled. The temple security feeds showed what you did. Hundreds of my soldiers, dead. They were killing children. They got what they deserved. They were following orders. My orders. By extension, you've been defying ME. Didn't realize you were so personally invested in child murder. Makes me feel better about kicking your ass earlier. Vader's grip tightened on his lightsaber. That was a momentary setback. I've had time to prepare, to meditate on your abilities. I understand you now. Do you? You're not a Force user, not a Jedi or Sith. You're something else, some kind of demon or creature from beyond this galaxy. Your body is made of organic material that regenerates. Your weapons are extensions of that material. And your fire, Vader smiled coldly. Your fire burns hot. But I've learned to control heat. He raised his free hand, and Spawn felt something change. The temperature around him dropped. Not physically, it was the Force, manipulating energy, drawing heat away. Let's see how your flames work when I freeze them at the source. Vader attacked first this time. His lightsaber came in fast, faster than before, more precise. He'd been studying Spawn's fighting style, identifying patterns, preparing counters. Spawn blocked with his chains, the necroplasm metal holding against the energy blade. But Vader was ready. He used the Force to push while their weapons were locked, sending Spawn skidding backward. Before Spawn could recover, Vader was on him again. Lightsaber strikes came from impossible angles, enhanced by force-augmented speed and precognition. Spawn blocked most of them, but one caught him across the ribs, the blade actually cutting into his necroplasm body. It regenerated instantly, but that wasn't the point. Vader had drawn first blood. "You're slower than before," Vader observed. "The necroplasm, it's finite, isn't it? Every time you regenerate, you use some of it up. Eventually, you'll run out." Spawn said nothing. The kid was smarter than he'd given him credit for. "I don't need to kill you outright," Vader continued, pressing his attack. "I just need to wear you down, burn through your reserves." And then, Spawn caught Vader's blade with both chains, stopping the strike cold. "You talk too much." He headbutted Vader with his necroplasm skull impact like a battering ram. Vader staggered, nose broken, blood streaming down his face. Spawn pressed the attack. Chains lashed out from every angle, not giving Vader time to recover. The young Sith blocked desperately, lightsaber moving in a blur, but Spawn was relentless. A chain caught Vader's leg, yanking him off balance. Another wrapped around his lightsaber arm, immobilizing it. Before Vader could use the Force to break free, Spawn closed the distance and drove his fist into Vader's stomach. The punch would have killed a normal human. Vader's Force-enhanced body survived, but barely. He doubled over, gasping, lightsaber falling from nerveless fingers. Spawn grabbed him by the throat and lifted. Round 2. Same result. He squeezed slightly. "Give me a reason not to end this permanently." Vader struggled, but he was weakened. The beating Spawn had given him, combined with the injuries from round 1, had taken their toll. You can't," Vader gasped. "Can't what?" "Kill you? I've killed hundreds tonight. One more doesn't make a difference." "Can't. Stop it. Even if you kill me. Palpatine has already won. The Empire is already established. My death changes nothing. Then why are you fighting so hard to stay alive?" Vader's eyes, still burning yellow, but with something else flickering beneath, met Spawn's. "Because I have to save her. Padme, she's going to die. And only the dark side, only Palpatine's knowledge, can save her." Spawn's grip loosened slightly. There it was again. The desperation. The love twisted into justification for horror. "Your wife, yes, she's pregnant. Due any day. And the visions. I saw her die. Palpatine promised if I served him, if I helped him destroy the Jedi, he would teach me how to save her. And you believed him. I had no choice. The Jedi wouldn't help. They told me to let go of my attachments, to accept that people die. They didn't care." The rage in Vader's voice was real. The pain was real. This wasn't a monster enjoying cruelty. This was a man drowning in fear and desperation, grabbing at any hand that offered salvation, even if that hand belonged to a devil. Spawn knew the feeling, had lived it. "Where is she?" he asked. "Your wife. Where is she now?" "Her apartment, in the Senate district. She's safe. Palpatine promised she wouldn't be harmed." "Palpatine promised." "Right. Like he promised to teach you how to save her. Like he promised the dark side would give you what you wanted." Spawn leaned closer. "How's that working out so far?" Vader said nothing. "I made a deal with a devil once," Spawn continued. "Male Bulgia, Lord of Hell. He promised I could see my wife again if I served him. I agreed, sold my soul, did terrible things in his name. And you know what happened when I finally got back to Earth?" His grip tightened again. "She'd moved on, married my best friend, had a kid with him, and I was stuck as this." He gestured at his burned monstrous form. "Forever, serving evil, getting nothing in return. Because that's what devils do. They promise everything and deliver nothing. Palpatine isn't. Palpatine is exactly like Malabulja. He found a desperate man, made promises, got you to do his dirty work. And when you're no longer useful?" Spawn dropped Vader, letting him crash to the rooftop. "He'll throw you away, just like they all do." Vader lay on the ground, gasping for breath, the truth of Spawn's words cutting deeper than any blade. Then, What do I do? His voice was small, broken. If Palpatine can't save her, if the dark side was a lie, then she dies. My wife dies. My child dies. And it's all for nothing. Spawn looked down at the fallen Sith, saw himself, saw the man he'd been before hell, desperate to cling to the woman he loved. Take me to her, he said. What? Your wife? Take me to her. Let me see what's actually happening. Maybe Palpatine's been lying about more than just the dark side. Why would you help me? I've been trying to kill you. I killed children at the temple. I know what you did, and you'll answer for it eventually. But right now, your wife is innocent, your kid is innocent, and if I can save them, I will. Spawn extended a hand. So get up. Show me where she is. And let's find out if Palpatine's been playing you from the start. Vader stared at the offered hand for a long moment. Then he took it. Padme Amidala's apartment was in the Upper Senate District, a luxurious space with panoramic views of Coruscant's skyline. Under normal circumstances, it would have been beautiful. Tonight, it looked like a gilded cage. Clone troopers guarded every entrance. Surveillance equipment monitored every room. Padme herself sat in the living area, visibly pregnant, visibly terrified, and very clearly under house arrest. Spawn and Vader approached from an unexpected angle the building's maintenance shaft, which Vader's knowledge of the structure made accessible. She's being watched, Vader whispered, as they moved through the ventilation system. Protected, Palpatine said. For her own safety. Protected prisoners are still prisoners, Spawn replied. How do we get in without alerting the guards? There's a private entrance, Padme showed me once. For emergencies. They emerged in a storage room adjacent to the main apartment. Through the wall, Spawn could hear voices, Padme's, strained and worried, and a droid's mechanical tones. The baby is healthy, Senator, but your vital signs are concerning. Elevated stress hormones, irregular heartbeat. If this continues, I'm fine. I need to know what's happening. No one will tell me anything. The holonet is blocked. The guards won't answer questions. Perhaps rest would help. I don't need rest. I need to know if my husband is alive. I need to know why clone troopers are guarding my door. Vader's face twisted with anguish. He moved toward the hidden entrance, but Spawn grabbed his arm. Wait. Let me scan her first. Scan her? With what? I have senses, abilities. If Palpatine's done something to her, I might be able to detect it. Spawn closed his eyes and extended his necroplasm senses toward Padme. His Hellspawn abilities were designed to detect evil, corruption, supernatural influence. If the dark side was affecting her, there, he found it almost immediately. A tendril of darkness connected to Padme's life force, subtle but undeniable. It was draining her slowly, carefully, in a way that would look like natural illness or loss of will to live. Son of a bitch, Spawn growled. What is it? Palpatine. He's connected to her somehow, using the Force to drain her life force. That's why she's dying, not because of childbirth or medical complications. Because he's killing her. Vader's face went white, then red, then something beyond either. No, that's... He promised. He promised to teach you how to save her. Hard to teach you something if she doesn't die, isn't it? He needs her to die. That's what keeps you loyal. The threat of losing her. I'll kill him. Get in line. Spawn moved toward the hidden entrance. But first, let's see if I can do something about that connection. They emerged into the apartment. The medical droid started to raise an alarm, but Spawn's chain shot out and disabled it before it could transmit. Padme spun, eyes wide, and saw her husband standing beside a nightmare creature. Anakin? What? Who is? It's okay, Padme. He's helping. Vader moved toward her, hands raised. I know how this looks. I know what I've done. But please, let him help you. Help me. I don't need help. I need answers. Anakin, what's happening? Why are clones guarding my door? Why is the Jedi temple burning? Why are your eyes? She stopped, seeing the yellow glow clearly for the first time. Anakin, your eyes. I know. I've done terrible things. Things I can't take back. But right now, you're in danger. Palpatine. The Chancellor? He's been lying. To everyone. To me. Vader's voice cracked. He's the Sith Lord, Padme. He orchestrated the Clone Wars. He manipulated me into destroying the Jedi, and he's been draining your life force to keep me under control. Padme stared at him, unable to process. That's insane. The Chancellor, she won't believe it unless she feels it, Spawn interrupted. And we don't have time to argue. I need to sever the connection before it kills her. Sever? What connection? Who are you? Spawn stepped forward, and Padme instinctively stepped back, terrified of his appearance. My name is Al Simmons. I used to be human. Now I'm something else, something that can see evil and destroy it. And right now, I can see something attached to you. Dark, parasitic, slowly draining your life. If I don't remove it, you'll die. Your children will die. Children? Twins. A boy and a girl. Spawn could sense them through the necroplasm, two distinct life forces, strong and healthy despite the drain on their mother. They're running out of time. Let me help. Padme looked at Vader, saw the desperation in his corrupted eyes, saw the monster standing beside him offering salvation. What choice did she have? Do it, she whispered. Spawn placed his hands on Padme's temples. The connection to Palpatine was insidious, woven into her life force like a parasite burrowing into flesh. Removing it would be delicate work, dangerous work. Fortunately, Spawn had practiced dealing with evil attachments. He focused his hellfire not the destructive kind, but the purifying aspect, the flames that burned away corruption without harming the innocent. It was how he'd fought Malebolgia's influence, how he'd saved souls from demonic possession. Same principle, different devil. Padme gasped as the hellfire touched the dark side connection. She could feel it now, the wrongness that had been hidden inside her, the invisible chain linking her to Palpatine. Hold still, Spawn commanded. This is going to hurt. He burned. Green flames erupted along the connection, racing from Padme toward its source. The dark side tendril tried to resist, tried to dig deeper to maintain its grip. But hellfire was anathema to evil. The corruption couldn't survive direct contact. The tendril severed. Padme screamed not in pain, but in release. Color flooded back into her cheeks. Her heartbeat steadied. The drain on her life force simply stopped. It's done, Spawn said, stepping back. She'll live. Vader caught Padme as she swayed, holding her close. Padme, are you? I'm okay. I feel better than I have in weeks. She looked up at Spawn with wonder. What was that thing? What did you remove? Palpatine's leash. He was killing you slowly to keep your husband obedient. As long as you were dying, Vader here had to believe only the dark side could save you. Padme's expression hardened. That monster. He played us, played everyone. He's good at it. Been doing it for decades, apparently. Spawn turned toward the window, looking out at the burning city. But now you know the truth. Question is, what are you going to do about it? Vader released Padme and stood, his yellow eyes burning with renewed purpose. I'm going to kill him. Palpatine dies tonight. Anakin, wait. He used me, Padme, turned me into a monster, made me kill children by promising he could save you while he was the one killing you. Vader's voice rose to a roar. He dies. Not arguing with the sentiment, Spawn said, but charging in alone against someone who's been playing you like a puppet for years? Bad idea. Then what do you suggest? We go together. You know his fighting style, his weaknesses. I have power he's never encountered before. Between the two of us, we can take him. You'd fight beside me? After everything I've done? Spawn looked at Vader for a long moment. The young man's eyes were still yellow, still corrupted by the dark side. But beneath that corruption, something else was stirring. Rage. Yes, but directed rage. Purpose. Not redemption. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But a chance. I'm not doing this for you, Spawn said. I'm doing it because Palpatine needs to die. Because as long as he's alive, he'll keep manipulating people, keep destroying lives. And because... He paused, remembering his own deals with devils. his own corruption, his own long road back from damnation, because everyone deserves a chance to make things right. Even people who've done terrible things. Vader was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. Together, then. We kill the Emperor together. What about me? Padme demanded. I'm not staying here while you two. You're pregnant with twins, Spawn interrupted. Do any day. You stay here. Somewhere safe. We'll come back when it's done. But, Padme, Vader took her hands. Please. I've already risked losing you once. I can't fight Palpatine if I'm worried about protecting you. Let me do this. Let me fix what I broke. Padme looked into her husband's eyes past the yellow corruption, searching for the man she'd married. He was still there, buried deep, but there. Come back to me, she whispered. Both of you. Come back alive. I always do, Spawn said. The alive part is negotiable, but I always come back. He headed for the window, his cape spreading into wings. Let's go kill an emperor. Vader moved to the balcony, and Spawn carried them both into Coruscant's sky, heading toward the Senate building and the monster waiting inside. Behind them, Padme watched them disappear into the burning night. She placed a hand on her stomach, feeling her children kick. Please, she whispered to no one, please let this work. Somewhere in the Force or beyond it, something heard her prayer. Whether it would answer remained to be seen. The Senate building grew larger as Spawn flew toward it, Vader gripping his arm as they soared through Coruscant's burning sky. Below them, the city was chaos. Clone gunships hunted survivors. Fires raged unchecked. The sound of blaster fire echoed from every district. Order 66 had transformed the galactic capital into a war zone. Security will be heavy, Vader shouted over the wind. Palpatine will have his personal guard. Red-armored soldiers, elite troops trained specifically to protect him. And he'll sense us coming through the Force. Let him sense us. I want him to know death is coming. You don't understand. His power. I understand plenty. He's a manipulator who hides behind pawns. Time to see how he handles a direct attack. They landed on a platform near the Senate's executive tower. Immediately, alarms began blaring. Spawn had made no attempt to hide their approach. Clone troopers emerged from security stations, dozens of them, weapons raised. Halt! Identify yourselves. Vader ignited his lightsaber. Lord Vader, and my associate. We have business with the Emperor. Lord Vader, sir, we have orders. Your orders are irrelevant. Stand aside or die. The clone commander hesitated, conflicting directives processing through his programmed mind. Vader was supposedly on their side, but arriving with an unknown hostile. Spawn made the decision for him. Chains erupted from his body, impaling the commander and 3 soldiers behind him. Before the others could react, Spawn was among them, a whirlwind of necroplasm death that turned the security platform into a slaughterhouse. Vader watched, lightsaber ready but unused. The creature fought with such brutal efficiency that there was nothing left for him to do. 15 seconds, 20 soldiers, all dead. You could have let me help, Vader said. You'll get your chance inside. Save your strength for Palpatine. They moved into the building. The interior of the Senate Executive Tower was a maze of corridors, offices, and security checkpoints. Under normal circumstances, reaching the Emperor's office would require passing through multiple layers of verification. Tonight, Spawn and Vader simply killed everything in their path. Clone troopers fell in waves. Security droids were torn apart. Automated defense systems, turrets, shock fields, containment barriers were destroyed or bypassed through sheer force. Vader fought with renewed fury, his lightsaber carving through soldiers who'd been his allies hours earlier. Every kill fed his rage. Every death pushed him deeper into the dark side. But his rage was focused now, directed. Not at the Jedi, not at imaginary enemies, at the man who'd manipulated him into becoming a monster. Palpatine! Vader roared as they carved through another checkpoint. I'm coming for you. Save your breath, Spawn advised, ripping a security door off its hinges. You'll need it. They reached the central turbolift that led to Palpatine's office. The doors were sealed, reinforced with blast-proof plating. Spawn punched through them. The metal crumpled like foil under his necroplasm fist. He tore the doors apart, revealing the turbolift shaft beyond. Going up? His cape wrapped around Vader, and they ascended through the shaft at impossible speed, bypassing the lift itself, climbing directly toward the Emperor's lair. While Spawn and Vader assaulted the Senate building, Padme Amidala made her own preparations. She'd contacted Bail Organa through a secure channel, learning that the senator from Alderaan had been rescuing Jedi survivors. His ship was currently docked at a private platform, preparing to evacuate. "Padme, you need to leave Coruscant immediately," Bail urged through the hologram. "The Emperor has declared martial law. Anyone associated with the Jedi is being arrested or worse." "I know, but I can't leave yet. Anakin is part of this. I saw the temple security footage. He led the attack. He was manipulated." "Bail, listen to me. Palpatine has been controlling him, using the dark side to twist his mind. But something's changed. He's going after Palpatine now, trying to make things right." Bail's expression was skeptical. "And you believe him?" "I believe what I saw. What I felt when that creature removed Palpatine's influence from me. Anakin isn't beyond saving. Not yet." "What creature?" "I don't know what he is. Something from beyond this galaxy. But he saved my life, and now he's helping Anakin kill the Emperor." Padme grabbed a travel bag, throwing in essentials. "I need to get somewhere safe before the babies come. Can you help?" "My ship is ready. But Padme, if Anakin doesn't come back, if Palpatine wins, then at least my children will be safe. That's all that matters now." She cut the transmission and headed for the door. Behind her, a medical droid followed, monitoring her vitals. The twins were restless, sensing their mother's stress, perhaps sensing the chaos engulfing the galaxy around them. "Hold on," Padme whispered to them. "Just hold on a little longer." On Bail Organa's ship, another reunion was taking place. Sarah Keto had arrived with the surviving younglings, having navigated through Coruscant's chaos using the coordinates Spawn had provided. The children were exhausted, traumatized, but alive. "How many?" Bail asked, looking at the small group. 15. Out of hundreds." Sarah's voice was hollow. "The rest, I know. I saw the reports. Where's the creature?" "The one who saved us?" "According to Padme, he's attacking the Senate building. With Anakin Skywalker." Sarah's eyes widened. "Skywalker? But he was leading the attack. He killed." "I know what he did, but apparently something's changed." The creature convinced him that Palpatine was the real enemy. Bail shook his head. "I don't understand it either, but if they can actually kill Palpatine, then maybe this nightmare ends. Or maybe it gets worse. Either way, we need to be ready to leave at a moment's notice." The ship's engines hummed on standby. Across the hangar, clone troopers were still searching for survivors. Time was running out, and in the Senate building, the final confrontation was about to begin. Emperor Palpatine sat in his private office, watching the chaos unfold through multiple holographic displays. Order 66 was proceeding excellently. Jedi were dying across the galaxy on Utapau, on Kashyyyk, on Megiddo, on 100 other worlds. His clone army, programmed from birth to obey his commands, was eliminating the Jedi threat with mechanical efficiency. The Republic was dead. The Empire had risen. Everything was going according to plan. Except for one variable. Palpatine studied the security footage from the temple, the creature that had appeared from nowhere and slaughtered hundreds of his soldiers. It wasn't a Jedi, wasn't a Sith, wasn't anything he recognized from any holocron or Sith archive. It was something from outside the Force entirely, and now it was inside his building, coming for him, with his former apprentice at its side. "Interesting," Palpatine murmured. He'd felt Vader's rage through the Force, felt the moment when his manipulation was exposed, when the young Sith's loyalty had turned to hatred. A setback, certainly. Vader had been meant to be his enforcer for decades to come, but Palpatine had survived for centuries by being adaptable, by having contingencies for every scenario. His comm activated. "My lord, the intruders have breached the executive level. They'll reach your office in..." "Let them come." "My lord, pull back all forces from the upper levels. Let them reach me unopposed." "But sir..." "Do as I command, and prepare my shuttle for immediate departure. Just in case, He cut the transmission and stood, moving to the center of his office. The space was designed for intimidation, high ceilings, dramatic lighting, his throne positioned to make visitors feel small and insignificant, perfect for what came next. Palpatine reached into the Force, drawing on decades of accumulated power. The dark side responded eagerly, flooding him with strength that made Vader's abilities look like parlor tricks. He hadn't survived this long by being weak, by being unprepared. Whatever that creature was, it would learn what happened to those who challenged the Dark Lord of the Sith. The executive level was supposed to be a fortress. Elite Red Guards, the Emperor's personal protectors, were stationed throughout. Each one was a master combatant, trained from childhood to fight and die for their master. Their Force pikes could block lightsabers, their armor could withstand blaster fire, and their loyalty was absolute. Spawn and Vader cut through them like paper. The first squad of Red Guards engaged them in the corridor outside Palpatine's office. 8 warriors, moving with synchronized precision, Force pikes spinning in deadly patterns. Spawn didn't slow down. His chains erupted in all directions, catching Force pikes, tangling limbs, creating openings. A guard tried to thrust at his chest. Spawn caught the pike, yanked the man forward, and drove a fist through his faceplate. Vader fought beside him, lightsaber weaving through the guard's formation. He wasn't holding back anymore. Every strike was lethal, every movement designed to kill. A guard blocked his blade with a Force pike. Vader used the Force to crush the man's windpipe while their weapons were locked. 4 guards down in seconds. The remaining 4 tried to fall back to defensive positions. Spawn's cape expanded, engulfing 2 of them in living darkness. They screamed as the necroplasm constricted, crushing them inside their armor. Vader bisected another with a single stroke. The last guard threw down his weapon and raised his hands. "Please, I surrender." Spawn's chain punched through his skull. "No prisoners," Spawn said flatly. "Not tonight." They moved to the office doors, massive, blast-proof barriers designed to withstand orbital bombardment. Spawn placed both hands on the surface. Hellfire erupted from his palms, green flames eating through the metal like acid through flesh. The blast-proof alloy melted, ran, dissolved. In 30 seconds, a hole large enough to walk through had been burned into the Emperor's defenses. They stepped inside. Palpatine waited for them in the center of his office. He looked old, frail, harmless. The kindly Chancellor who'd guided the Republic through the Clone Wars, who'd reluctantly accepted emergency powers, who'd sorrowfully declared the Jedi traitors. The mask was flawless, but Spawn could see through it. His Hellspawn senses perceived the truth, the darkness coiled inside this withered frame, ancient and malevolent. This wasn't an old politician. This was a predator wearing human skin. "Ah," Palpatine said pleasantly. "Lord Vader, and your interesting friend. Welcome." "Cut the act," Vader snarled, lightsaber igniting. "I know what you are, what you've done. You manipulated me, used my love for Padme as a weapon against me, made me betray everything I believed in. I showed you the truth. The Jedi were holding you back. Your attachments were weakness. Only through the dark side could you achieve your potential. You were killing her, draining her life force while promising to teach me how to save her. A necessary motivation. You needed something to fight for, something to fear losing. Without that fear, you would never have embraced the dark side fully." Vader's rage exploded. He launched himself at Palpatine, lightsaber swinging for the kill. Palpatine's hand came up, and Force lightning erupted blue-white bolts of pure energy that slammed into Vader mid-leap. The young Sith screamed, his attack halted, his body convulsing as electricity tore through him. "Disappointing," Palpatine said, increasing the lightning's intensity. "I had such hopes for you, Anakin, but you were always too emotional, too attached, too weak." Vader collapsed, smoking, twitching. Palpatine turned his attention to Spawn. "And you're the variable I didn't anticipate. Something from beyond this galaxy, beyond the Force itself." His yellow eyes gleamed with interest. "What are you, exactly? A demon? A god? Some kind of extra-dimensional parasite?" "I'm Al Simmons," Spawn replied, chains beginning to writhe. "And I'm here to kill you. Many have tried. They're all dead now." Palpatine raised both hands. Let's see if you're any different. The lightning hit Spawn full force. Palpatine's Force lightning was not like Vader's limited abilities. This was the accumulated power of centuries. Dark side energy refined through Sith alchemy, enhanced by rituals, focused through a mind that had been practicing evil since before the Republic existed. The lightning should have vaporized Spawn instantly. Instead, Spawn walked through it. His necroplasm body absorbed the energy, feeding on it, converting destruction into fuel. The lightning hurt, there was no denying that. But Spawn had experienced worse. Had been torn apart in hell, rebuilt, torn apart again. Had fought beings that made Palpatine look like an amateur. That all you got? Spawn growled, still advancing. Palpatine's eyes widened the first crack in his composure. Impossible. Nothing survives that attack. I'm not nothing, and I'm not from this galaxy. Your rules don't apply to me. Spawn closed the distance, chains lashing out toward Palpatine. The Emperor dodged faster than his frail appearance suggested, Force-enhanced speed carrying him across the office. His hand found a lightsaber hidden in his sleeve, the red blade igniting with a snap hiss. If lightning won't work, perhaps more direct methods. He attacked with a fury that belied his age. Sith blade work perfected over centuries, augmented by precognition and telekinesis. The lightsaber came at Spawn from impossible angles, guided by the Force to find weaknesses in his defenses. Spawn's chains met every strike, necroplasm metal against plasma blade, sparks flying, neither giving ground. You're good, Spawn admitted. Better than the kid. I've had considerably more practice. Palpatine thrust at Spawn's chest a feint. When Spawn moved to block, the Emperor used the Force to pull him forward, off balance, and drove the lightsaber toward his face. The blade pierced Spawn's skull. Any normal being would have died instantly. Even most supernatural entities would have been severely damaged. Spawn grabbed Palpatine's wrist with one hand and his throat with the other. I'm already dead, he said, the lightsaber still embedded in his head. Your blade means nothing. He ripped the weapon away, necroplasm already regenerating around the wound, and lifted Palpatine off the ground. Now let me show you what real power looks like. Hellfire erupted from Spawn's hands, engulfing Palpatine in green flames. The Emperor screamed. Palpatine had experienced pain before. He'd been burned, poisoned, tortured, had pushed his body through Sith rituals that would have killed lesser beings, had survived assassination attempts that destroyed entire buildings. But this fire was different. It didn't just burn his flesh, it burned his soul. The hellfire reached through physical matter into the dark side essence that sustained him, igniting corruption at its source. Palpatine's carefully cultivated power began to unravel. No, he shrieked, calling on every reserve of strength. I am the Dark Lord of the Sith. I am eternal. I will not be destroyed by some interdimensional parasite. Dark side energy exploded outward from his body, a nova of pure corruption that shattered windows, cracked walls, and sent Spawn flying backward. Spawn crashed through Palpatine's throne, through the wall behind it, and embedded himself in the durasteel structure of the building. For a moment, both combatants paused, assessing damage. Palpatine's flesh was charred, blackened, smoke rising from his robes, but he was still standing, still alive. The dark side sustained him even through the hellfire. Impressive, Palpatine gasped. You actually wounded me. No one has managed that in decades. Spawn pulled himself from the wall, necroplasm regenerating the damage from Palpatine's explosion. You're tough. I'll give you that. He cracked his neck. But I've killed tougher. Have you? Have you truly faced anything like me? Malobolgia, Lord of the 8th Circle of Hell. I killed him. Palpatine's eyebrow rose slightly. You killed a being you describe as a Lord of Hell? Tore out his heart and burned it. Took a while, but he died eventually. Spawn began walking toward Palpatine again. You're powerful. Maybe the most powerful thing in this galaxy, but compared to the demons I've fought, you're amateur hour. We shall see. Palpatine attacked again, not with lightning or lightsaber, but with pure Force power. He grabbed Spawn with telekinesis and slammed him into the ceiling, then the floor, then the walls. Again and again, trying to pulverize him through sheer kinetic force. The office was demolished. Furniture shattered. Walls collapsed. The throne room of the Galactic Empire was reduced to rubble. And through it all, Spawn kept regenerating, kept healing, kept getting back up. "Is that all?" Spawn asked, pulling himself from another crater. Palpatine was breathing hard now. Even his vast reserves had limits. And this creature just kept coming. "What are you?" the Emperor demanded. "I told you. I'm Spawn. And I'm going to send you to hell." Palpatine made a decision. He couldn't win this fight through direct combat. The creature was too durable, too relentless. Every attack that should have killed it merely delayed it. Time for a different approach. "Very well," Palpatine said, lowering his hands. "You've proven yourself formidable. Perhaps we can reach an arrangement. I don't make deals with devils, not anymore. Hear me out. You're trapped in this galaxy, far from your home. I have resources, technology, knowledge, power. I can help you return to wherever you came from. All I ask in return is that you leave. Walk away from this fight. Let me continue my work." Spawn laughed a harsh, ugly sound. "Your work? Manipulating people? Killing children? Building an empire on blood and lies?" He shook his head. "I've heard this pitch before, from Malabolgia, from the Violator, from every demon who thought they could buy me off." He stepped closer. "The answer is always the same. No. Then you doom yourself. I cannot be killed. Even if you destroy this body, I will return. The dark side grants me immortality. You can defeat me today, but I will rise again, and again, and again, until you are finally worn down and I emerge victorious. Maybe." Spawn's eyes blazed brighter. "But I know something about killing immortals. The secret isn't destroying the body. It's destroying the soul." Hellfire gathered around his hands more intense than before. He was drawing deep on his necroplasm reserves, channeling everything into a single, devastating attack. "Wait," Palpatine said, genuine fear entering his voice. "Wait, you can't. Watch me." Spawn grabbed Palpatine's face with both hands and pushed. The hellfire didn't just burn the Emperor's flesh this time. It went deeper, into his dark side essence, into the corruption that had sustained him for centuries, into the very core of what made him Sith. Palpatine screamed a sound that echoed through the Force, felt by every Force-sensitive being in the galaxy. His carefully hoarded immortality was being ripped away, his soul burning in fires meant for the truly damned. "No, I am the Senate. I am the Empire. You're nothing," Spawn snarled. "Just another devil who thought he was untouchable. And now you're burning." The hellfire reached critical intensity. Palpatine's body disintegrated, not just dying, but being unmade at a fundamental level. His dark side essence, the spiritual anchor that would have allowed him to cheat death, was being consumed by flames that had burned in hell for eternity. There would be no resurrection, no clone bodies, no cheating death. The Dark Lord of the Sith was being erased from existence. Palpatine's final scream echoed through the Force, a psychic death cry that shattered windows across Coruscant. Then silence. Spawn stood in the ruins of the Emperor's office, holding nothing but ash. The most powerful Sith Lord in galactic history had been reduced to cinders by hellfire. "Burn in hell," Spawn said quietly. "It's where you belong." Behind him, Vader stirred. Anakin Skywalker, no longer Vader, not anymore, pushed himself up from the floor where Palpatine's lightning had thrown him. His body ached. His mind was clearing, the dark side's grip weakening now that its greatest champion was dead. The yellow was fading from his eyes, blue starting to return. He saw the ash in Spawn's hands, the ruins of Palpatine's office, the absolute destruction that had been wrought. Is he dead? Completely. Soul and all. He won't be coming back. Anakin stared at the ash for a long moment. The man who had manipulated him since childhood, who had orchestrated his fall, who had used his love as a weapon against him. Gone. Forever. I don't know what to do now. Figure it out. You've got a wife waiting, kids on the way. Start there. After everything I've done? The younglings, the Jedi. How can I? You can't undo it. Can't bring them back. Can't erase what happened. Spawn turned to face him, burned features unreadable. But you can do better. Every day, for the rest of your life. Make choices that honor the people who died. That's all redemption is, doing better until the scales balance. Will they ever balance? Probably not. But you try anyway. Because the alternative is giving up. And giving up means the darkness wins. Anakin was quiet for a long moment. Why did you help me? You had every reason to kill me. I was your enemy, because I've been where you are. Made the same mistakes. Sold my soul for someone I loved, and got nothing but damnation. Spawn walked toward the shattered windows, looking out at Coruscant's burning skyline. Maybe I couldn't save myself. But maybe I can keep someone else from falling as far as I did. That's surprisingly noble for a demon. I'm not a demon. I'm a man who made bad choices and is trying to make better ones. Spawn's cape began to spread into wings. Now go. Find your wife. Be there when your kids are born. And when people ask what happened here tonight, he turned back, green eyes burning. Tell them the Empire died before it could begin, and that hell came calling for its architect. The aftermath of Palpatine's death was chaos, but a different kind of chaos. Without the Emperor's guiding will, the clone army's programming began to fragment. Order 66 continued in some sectors, but in others, clones simply stopped, confused by conflicting directives and a chain of command that no longer existed. The empire that Palpatine had proclaimed lasted less than a day. In the weeks that followed, a new government formed a coalition of surviving senators, military leaders, and Jedi who'd escaped the initial purge. It wasn't perfect, wasn't even particularly stable, but it was better than what Palpatine had planned. Anakin Skywalker stood trial for his crimes. He confessed everything: the younglings, the Jedi he'd killed, his service to the Sith. He accepted whatever punishment the court deemed fit. The verdict was controversial: exile. Stripped of his rank, forbidden from using the Force, required to spend the rest of his life making amends. Some thought it too lenient. Others argued that his actions against Palpatine, his role in ending the Empire before it began, deserved consideration. Padme supported him through all of it. She gave birth to twins 3 days after Palpatine's death, a boy named Luke and a girl named Leia. Anakin was there for both, holding his children for the first time with tears streaming down his face. "I don't deserve this," he whispered. "Maybe not," Padme replied. "But they don't deserve to grow up without a father, so earn it." The Jedi Order reformed under Obi-Wan Kenobi's guidance, with Sarah Keto and the surviving knights helping to rebuild. They learned from past mistakes, allowing attachments, acknowledging emotions, creating a more balanced approach to the Force. The younglings Spawn had saved became the foundation of this new order. They remembered the creature who'd protected them, who'd fought through an army to keep them alive, who'd disappeared into the night after ending the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. They called him the Dark Guardian, the Hellfire Saint, the demon who saved the Jedi. And Spawn? Spawn stood on a rooftop in Coruscant's lower levels, watching the sun rise over a city that was slowly healing. Behind him, Obi-Wan Kenobi approached. "You're leaving," the Jedi Master said. "Not a question. I don't belong here. I'm not part of your galaxy, your Force, your conflicts. I came by accident and did what needed doing. Now it's time to move on. Where will you go? Wherever there's evil that needs killing. Your galaxy has plenty, from what I've seen. Slavers, crime lords, remnants of whatever Sith were out there before Palpatine." Spawn's cape rustled in the morning breeze. "I'll find them. Deal with them. Keep moving until there's nothing left to kill or nothing left of me." That sounds lonely. It is. But it's what I am now, what I'm good at. Spawn turned to face Obi-Wan. "Tell Skywalker something for me." "What?" "Tell him redemption isn't about erasing what you did. It's about doing better every day until the scales balance. He'll understand." "I'll tell him. And the kids, the younglings I saved. Make sure they become something good, something that honors what was sacrificed." "We will. I promise." Spawn nodded. Then his cape spread into massive wings, and he lifted off the rooftop, rising into Coruscant's brightening sky. Obi-Wan watched him go a dark shape against the sunrise, disappearing into the distance. "May the Force be with you," the Jedi whispered. If Spawn heard, he gave no sign. Anakin stood on the balcony of Padmé's apartment, holding Luke in one arm and Leia in the other. The twins were asleep, peaceful, unaware of the chaos that had surrounded their birth. Padmé joined him, wrapping an arm around his waist. "She's gone," Padmé said, looking at the sky. "The dark presence. I can't feel it anymore. Palpatine's truly dead." Spawn made sure of that. "Not just Palpatine. I mean, in you. The darkness that was consuming you. It's fading." Anakin was quiet for a moment. The yellow was gone from his eyes. Now they were blue again, the color they'd been before his fall. But the memories remained. The guilt, the knowledge of what he'd done. "It'll never be completely gone," he admitted. "I fell too far, did too much, but..." He looked down at his children. "But I have reasons to fight it now. Every day. For them. For you. That's all I ask." They stood together, watching the sunrise, a family that had nearly been destroyed now rebuilding in the light of a new day. Behind them, on a table, sat a holographic image security footage from the temple, showing a dark figure with burning green eyes standing over dead clone troopers, protecting huddled children. The Dark Guardian. Anakin had asked for a copy. To remember. To remind himself that even in the darkest moment, someone had chosen to protect the innocent. Someone had refused to let evil win. Who was he? Padmé asked, following his gaze. Someone who understood what I was going through. Who'd been where I'd been and found a way out. "Do you think he'll come back?" Anakin considered the question. The creature Spawn had been something beyond his understanding, a being of darkness who chose to fight for light, a demon who protected children, a contradiction wrapped in chains and hellfire. "I don't know," he said finally. "But if he does, I hope he finds what he's looking for." What's he looking for? Anakin thought about their conversations, about the desperation in Spawn's voice when he'd talked about his wife, about the rage that drove him to kill, about the small moments of humanity that broke through the monster's exterior. "Redemption," Anakin said quietly. "Same as me, somewhere in the Outer Rim." A ship fled through hyperspace. On board, a crime lord counted his latest shipment of slaves, beings destined for a life of suffering and exploitation. He didn't notice the shadow moving through his ship, didn't hear the chains sliding through ventilation shafts, didn't sense the green eyes watching from the darkness. Not until it was too late. Spawn emerged from the shadows, hellfire blazing. "You deal in human misery, profit from suffering, treat people like property." The crime lord scrambled for his blaster. What are you?" "I'm Spawn, and I'm here to collect." The screaming started. Across the galaxy, evil had a new enemy, one that couldn't be bribed, couldn't be intimidated, couldn't be killed. Hell had come to the stars, and it was just getting started.